Hey guys, welcome to economics class in a little bit of a different format than we've been doing in the past couple of weeks. So when we don't have projects and stuff like that, this is how we're going to be taking notes, is that I'll send out the videos and then it'll just be like the Bible class format that you take notes as you watch the slides so that I can explain to you about what you're taking notes on. Okay, so we are in chapter 5 of the economics book that we started last year. If you feel like your base was a little weak from last year, believe me, you learned more than you think you learned, because it's just about learning basic vocabulary so that when you are in the workforce, like when you're working and stuff after the university, or when you go to the university and you're out of school, because school like puts you into like a bubble sometimes, when you get into adulthood and you see the economy working and you hear certain words on the news and you hear certain words in business and you hear certain words when you go to get a préstamo for a house, or when you get your first job and you get your savings account, and et cetera, that these vocabulary words, even though you're learning them in English and you might be applying them in Spanish, won't be a surprise to you and you'll be able to manage them, okay? It's the same thing we do with like consumer math and different stuff like that. So you definitely want to start taking notes at this point right now, and it's going to be a lot of like stop and go with this video, I believe, which is totally fine. The chapter that we're on right now is productive market economy. Remembering that there's different types of economy, right? There's a controlled economy. A controlled economy is like what? Think about it. Socialism, communism is controlled by an entity. It's controlled by a group of people or an organization or the government, right? Then you have your market economy, and the market economy is where you have, you remember Adam Smith, he said, what's the thing about the hands? He said something about hands. No idea. I totally forgot. Hands free. No. Invisible hand. There you go. He talks about the invisible hand, which means that if you allow the individuals to make the decisions, you allow the individuals to buy what they want and sell what they want, then the invisible hand is going to control the market, and that is better. And that is a free market, a free democratic government like we live in. Okay. In that type of economy, is there always going to still be some government control? Of course, there's always going to be some government control, but not like in communism and socialism. Okay, so we're in chapter 5, productive market economy. We're in section 5.1 that is called market signals. Just to point out that that word signals in Espanol means what? Señales. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, to start it out, and you don't have to write this part down, but this is just an introduction as to what we are going to learn today. You see advertisements from Pacer, from Alden's, from Nietzsche's, from Pizza Inn, from Bojangles, etc. My question to you guys is, who decides what Pacer, Alden's, Nietzsche's, Pizza Inn, Bojangles, all the places that you go to, who decides what they sell and at what price they sell them? I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Who decides that? Okay, some of you guys might have said the business owner, Eldon himself, right? Anybody, the manager that works at Nietzsche's, the organization of Nietzsche's, whoever makes the shirts of Pacers, maybe they're the ones that control the price, control what the products look like, but it's not true. Who decides? Did you know that you have chosen the options of the products you buy in stores? So what's the answer? You. You are the one, I am the one, we are the ones that choose what is in stores, what is sold, etc., etc. Why, Miss Jessica? Well, that's what we're going to get into today with market signals. Why am I the answer to why the things that are sold today are sold? That's what we're going to get into. Okay, so it says right here, in a free market economy, It is the consumers. Who are the consumers? We are the ones that consume, the ones that buy, the ones that enjoy the products. Who determine what goods are to be produced and in what quantity. In a free market economy, it is the consumers who determine what goods are to be produced and in what quantity. Why? That's still our question, right? You wanted to write that slide down, by the way. That's a good introduction, even though it's not Roman numerals yet. Also this, through their buying decisions, the mass of consumers, that's us, the mass, the total of us, tell producers, those are the stores and the people that make the clothing or people that make the food, to supply the kinds of goods in the proper quantities and price ranges that can be readily sold, okay? Through their buying decisions, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to convince you of today. Through our buying decisions, buy this, don't buy this, wait to buy this, save up to buy this, never buy this, always buy this, our buying decisions tell the producers, the supermarkets, the farmers who plant the crops for food, who plant the crops for cotton to make the clothes, the producers of the clothes, the factories that make the clothes, etc., to supply the kinds of goods. So we, through our buying decisions, say what we want, the kinds of goods, what the quantity of it that we want is, and the price range, okay, what we're willing to pay. So through when we buy and what we buy and at what price we buy those things, our buying decisions, we're actually telling the producers what we want, and they listen. Why do they listen? Well, because they want to sell their things, yes or no. So they have to listen to the consumer. That's the invisible hand, now that I remember what it was called, that Adam Smith talked about. That we really control the market because who has the power? The ones that are willing to pay. If the producers stick up their noses and say caprichosamente, then they're going to sell and provide what they want to. Well, they might not be in business for a long time if they're not going to listen to the consumers. Okay, so while that other text is super important to have written down because it's important information, if you go back to look at your notes later on for a quiz or something like that, just jumping right into this part right here might be a little confusing, but here we go with the outline part of the notes. So Roman numeral number 1 is market signals. The whole thing today will be under Roman numeral number 1. Letter A says, people all over the world are involved in markets because everybody has to obtain goods in order to live, and everybody has to give something, often his labor, in exchange for those goods. So we're going to define what market is very, very soon in the outline. Remember, market is when you exchange goods. So all over the world, every single one of us is involved in markets because we need goods to live, and most of the time we need to give our labor or something to earn money to buy those goods. Okay, so we're establishing why we care about market signals. Don't forget, don't try to write every single word down. The prepositions don't matter. Anything that helps you have sentido to it, you don't have to write it down. People are involved in markets. Everybody has to obtain goods, and everybody gives something, like labor, in exchange. Stuff like that, that's all you have to say, okay? Condense it down. Listen to what I say on the video to understand what it's talking about, to condense it down in your own words so you don't have to write so much. Okay, so let's define what a market is. Letter B. In everyday speech, like normal, us talking about a market, we would think, what would you think of automatically when you hear the word market? town, right? Coxon, that's a market. An everyday speech, it can be a place where goods are bought and sold, or a meeting of people who are interested in buying and selling, okay? There are also terms for markets that are stock markets, commodity markets, money markets, local markets, big city markets, regional markets, national markets, world markets, okay? There's all different types of markets. Like we learned last year, the New York Stock Exchange, where you intercambiar, you trade inversiones, in investments in stocks, okay? But economically speaking, a market refers to a means through which is a manera, a way through which sellers and buyers exchange goods. Okay, consumers and producers, right? Exchange goods, intercambiar goods, money for food, or etc., etc. Okay, that is a market. So letter C, who determines what goes on in the market? Who determines it? Ultimately, we do. Ultimately, you do. Yeah, you. So here we go. Consumers, you decide. Everything in the market is there because sellers have reason to believe that the buyers in the market for that particular type of good. Okay, so what does that mean? Look, if you think about it, if you have your own business, are you going to try to sell something that people don't want? No, you're going to try to sell something that everybody's going to want and the price that everybody's going to want it at, okay? That's your job as a producer if you own a business, to figure out what the consumer wants. That's why if you get a job in customer service, what are people going to tell you? The customer is always right. Is the customer really always right? No, but you had to act like it. You got to shut your boca when the customer is not right, the cliente is not right, and you still have to be nice to them anyway, because guess what? They're the ones that are going to pay for their goods. And if they don't pay for their goods, you don't have a salario, right? So the customer is always right because the consumers are the ones that determine what goes on in the market. Letter D. A free market economy obeys the laws of supply and demand. Okay, if you don't remember specifically what those were from last year, that's perfectly fine. But just remember that there are laws that, because we'll get back into them, you know, in the specifics of everything, but there are laws that determine that based on a certain amount of supply, that means how much of something is produced, and then the demand of it, that determines the quantity produced and the price. Remember what demand is, by the way. Demand is when someone wants to and is willing to buy the product. Remember, there's a difference between being wanting to and being willing to buy a product. You might want a sports car, but you're not willing to buy a sports car because you don't have the money to buy a sports car. You don't have the ability to. Okay, so you really don't have the demand for a sports car. Okay, and the producer is going to look at the world and say, okay, there's 1 billion people in the world that want a sports car, but is he going to make 1 billion sports cars? No, because about 0.2% of that billion people that want a sports car actually can demand a sports car because they actually have the money for it. But we might want it, but we're never going to buy one, okay? So the producer's never going to produce one because we're not actually going to be in that market, okay? So it says in number 1, the kinds of goods that are produced and the prices charged for these goods are determined by the demand and supply of the goods, okay? So how are we deciding? How are we the ones making the decisions in the market? It's through the supply and demand. Number 2, in a free society like we live in, supposedly sometimes, right? I understand. Economic decisions are made by individuals, separate people functioning in their roles as producers and consumers, and not by an impersonal force like socialism, okay? So listen to that again. Economic decisions are made by individuals, us, and not by an impersonal force. What's the impersonal force like in socialism? The government, okay? My question to you is, you need to write this down in your homework, you guys, not in your notes, please, because your notes don't come to me. Your homework comes to me. So where you do your homework for economics should be separate on a different piece of paper than your outline, okay? But in your homework, you need to answer this question. Do you think that an economy works more effectively, allowing the individuals, us, producers and consumers, to determine economic decisions, or the impersonal force like governments to do that job? What do you think is more effective in the economy? When we as individuals control the market, or when the impersonal force, that means the government or somebody that you can't really see, controls the economy, and why? Okay, question for you on that one. So at this point you may be asking, well, okay, well, you're probably just like writing down notes, but if you're thinking about it, and I hope you're analyzing, right? You might be asking, well, I understand that you say we determine what goes on, but like, how do they know what we want? How do we actually determine it? We're not the ones making the decisions. They're making the decisions for us. How are they not wrong? How are they reading our minds, etc., right? So letter E is going to explain how exactly do the consumers make the decisions. Number one, and most importantly, it's market signals, okay? Market signals are signs that are used by consumers and producers, because those producers have more producers, etc., to determine how much of a good to buy or sell at a given price and time. Therefore, individuals determine what is supplied and demanded by sending market signals, okay? We send market signals based on what? Our buying decisions. Let's talk about that. Number two, these market signals are sent many times by the consumer's buying decisions that are watched by producers to understand consumer preference, okay? So look, it's not that you go into the store today and buy black shoes, and then all of a sudden every producer that's connected to that store that you bought those black shoes from are going to say, that's it for the next year, we're only making black shoes, that's what people want. No. You have just sent a signal, you have sent a little signal to the market, okay, the shoe store that you actually bought the shoes from, and the provider of those shoes to the shoe store. You have sent a little fraction of a signal to them saying, somebody likes black shoes. Okay. Boom, alert. They're going to use reports that they have to see how many other people like black shoes and what type of black shoes and at what time of the year are they buying these black shoes, right? At what price are they buying the black shoes? If there was 2 black shoes, why did you buy the one black shoe but not the other mark of the black shoe, right? What size was the black shoe bought at? How many people are buying it in that size, and how many people buy it in smaller sizes? How many people buy it in bigger sizes, etc. And then those reports and that accumulation and the adding up together of all those signals will help them make decisions in the future. So number 3. Both demand and supply are always changing, right? How many people want it, how many people can buy it, and how much is being provided, causing prices to change constantly as well. Some things are more up and down than you think. I mean, you go into a shoe store, and today you might spend 600 lemps on it, and tomorrow it could be on descuento for buy one, get one half off, right? Prices are always changing. Miss Ashley and I were buying airplane tickets the other day to go home in December, right? Or to go to the States in December, and what happened? From 6 o'clock at night to 10 o'clock at night, the price had gone up $20. Okay, the prices are always changing. Number 4, if supply, listen to this carefully, if supply goes down, okay, what's being provided? The prices are going to rise. Do you want to know the reason why that happens sometimes? Because there's not enough of the item for everyone to have it, so they have to raise the price to discourage so many people from buying them and getting frustrated that there's none left, okay? So naturally what happens? The supply goes down, the prices go up, and then the producers try to produce more because they're seeing what happens. There's not enough for people to want it. That means the prices are going up, people are going to stop buying it, so they produce more to manipulate the price again. So number 5, when that supply goes up again, now that they're providing more, the prices go back down, and then the producers reduce their production of good, okay? So it's always fluctuating. That's why the prices are always going up and down. And number 6, who listens to these signals? A lot of people, okay, guys? Bankers. What do you mean bankers listen to these signals? When you're giving out préstamos, the bankers, the loans, they have to decide at what percentage you're willing to buy a loan. And are people going to need a lot of loans for houses this year? Are people going to need a lot of loans for cars this year? What kind of loans are people going to need? What is the interest rate we can give on savings accounts, on cuentas de ahorro? Okay, wholesalers are the ones that, okay, Eldon's has food. They're selling the food to us, but who sells the food to Eldon's? The wholesalers, okay? The Marca of Shershine sells their stuff to Eldon's, okay? The Marca of Nestle sells their stuff to Eldon's. The Marca of Bisquick sells their stuff to Eldon's. So the maker of cornflakes sells their stuff to Eldon's. The maker of Bimbo sells their stuff to Eldon's. So the wholesalers sell their stuff to Eldon's. Eldon's is the retailer. And then, so the retailers listen to the market signals. The manufacturers, the factories that make cars and shirts and everything like that, the business owners and many other people have to listen to these market signals so that their prices are where we are going to buy the stuff and their products are supplied as much as we need them to be. Okay, to better understand what we're talking about with market signals, we are going to see an example of how market signals affect the decisions made in a supermercado, in a grocery store. Okay, let's do it. Look at what I need you to write down in this one for your notes is just a chain reaction that's going to be coming at you, okay? Look what it says, though. A simple example of how suppliers react to market signals can be found in an ordinary grocery store or food market. With the help of computers, the owner or manager of such a place is able to check his inventory and see how much of each good he sells at various prices within a given time frame. Okay, so the market signals start with you, right? Tools that are used are like computers that track inventory, okay? So what that means is that the managers have computers that are going to tell them the peanut butter today was sold at $3.50. This is how many people bought it today at $3.50. Yesterday it was $3.32, and this is how many people bought it. Next week it's gonna be on discount for $2.50. We're gonna see how many people buy it, right? So in a given time, they can see how many people are buying it and at what price, okay? Look what it says. He will find that some of the items are not selling well. They remain on his shelves when he had hoped that they would move, meaning moving an item means selling it. That is, be sold promptly. He finds that other items have moved very well indeed. Some may even have sold so fast that they're out of stock, leaving gaps on his shelves. So the third part in this chain reaction, this cadena of market signals, is the manager at the retail store. Okay, so it starts with you buying an item. The computer tracks it, sends a signal to the manager about what's getting sold well, what's not getting sold at all, and what's getting sold too fast. Okay, let's keep going and see who else is involved, right? Few customers may mention to the store manager that one brand of goods is too high in price or too low in quality. And probably no customers will whisper to him that another brand in the store seems to be an excessively good bargain. So what is that saying? It's saying, look, the market signals aren't about you going up to the manager and saying like, oh, I like this. I'm so glad your price is this. Oh, that seems like too good of a deal, right? No, he's going to see it based on the information that you give him in his computer based on your buying decisions. What price did you buy it at? Do you buy it a lot, or did you only buy it one time and never go back because it was disgusting, or whatever it is, right? Your buying decisions will tell him what he needs. However, the manager can see by a quick glance at his computerized inventory that some goods are profitable to him and that other goods cause him losses since they take up valuable shelf space that could be used to promote other things. An able manager will analyze all the information he has available. Then he will order from his suppliers more of the goods that sell well and refrain from ordering more of the goods that do not sell well. So now look, the retailer, Alden's, is going to, or whatever store, right, is going to send signals from the consumer to that went to the computer, that went to him, that are now going to go to the suppliers and wholesalers to say, what are consumers liking and not liking, and at what price and at what quantity? Okay, so these are the wholesalers. These are the big companies that sell their marca. Okay, these are the marca companies. The Nike, the Adidas. Don't make fun of me. It is Nike in English, by the way. The all the markets that you like, right? Those are the wholesalers and suppliers. Here come the last two. In our example grocery store, each individual consumer sends signals to the retailer about what he or she likes or dislikes. In turn, the manager of the retail store gives signals to his suppliers, the wholesalers who deal in much larger quantities of food. Wholesalers pass these signals on to their sources of supply. Okay, these are the big suppliers, the bigger companies, even bigger than the marca. For example, there are certain marcas that are involved in other bigger companies. And you see that on the back of some of the food, that like this Kellogg company is part of Johnson & Johnson or whatever it is, okay? So those are the bigger suppliers, bigger companies. Wholesalers pass these signals on to their own sources of supply. If a wholesaler were to receive enough additional orders for a certain brand of pickles, it might order a truckload more of these pickles, those are pepinillos, from the company that produces them. Encouraged by the additional demand for its product, the pickle producer would buy more cucumbers from farmers. So look, even the farmers and the big producers are getting signals, because watch, they would buy more cucumbers from the farmers, who would perceive that the market for cucumbers is a healthy one, and plant more cucumbers next season. Of course, it takes more than one consumer's purchase to produce such results with retailers, wholesalers, packers, and farmers. The decisions of producers and distributors in our scenario were based on many such consumer signals about the price and quality of pickles. So this is a chain reaction, right? It's not based on just one person buying, it's based on a lot of information, but it even goes to the consumer. Even goes to the farmers and the bigger producers to determine what they do for the very next year or the next quarter. Okay, so here's a review. Okay, so here's the basic review of it. You have your consumer, it starts with the chain reaction. It goes to your retailer, that's your store, that's your Pacer, your Bojangles, your Nichas, your Eldens, your Plasmar, whatever it is, right? Your Megapaca. Then it goes to your wholesaler, those that provide the goods and all the different marcas that go into that store. And then those signals go to the suppliers, okay? And they're all making decisions based on the market signals that we send. That's how it works. to throw this into your notes that's not in the outline form. There are two words that we do need to identify that go with market signals. We talk about market signals of non-durable goods. Non-durable goods are goods that have a life expectancy of less than 3 years. That's all your food, okay? That's anything disposable quickly. They're only going to last less than 3 years. Or your durable goods. Those are goods that have a life expectancy of at least 3 years or more. Your refrigerator, your computer, your phone, your TV. So when you hear non-durable goods, those are the things like food and things that are going to go quickly. Your clothes, okay? Excuse me, but I don't keep a bunch of my clothes for more than 3 years. Do you guys? I mean, like, I understand, like, stuff that we had for a really long time, but you also buy more, okay? But your durable goods are the ones that are going to last at least 3 years. So it's good to identify those words and keep them in your mind. Here is the rest of your homework. You did have that question from the one part about what's better, consumers controlling the market or the impersonal force. And then here are the other questions. You can stop the video and read them. Do not write them down. Just put 5.1 questions apart from your notes because this is going to come to me. Okay? If you have any questions, obviously you can ask me. But it's just scenarios about market signals. Okay, so make sure you read the whole thing and answer thoroughly, please. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much. So, who makes the decisions in the market? In a free market, who makes them? We do, the consumer. Okay, by sending what? Signals to the producers. And how do you send those signals? Through your buying decisions. Have a great day.